At the Deacons Banquet, Treasurer Miriam Price opened a black ledger to a page headed First Lady Community Care, and every withdrawal beneath it carried my name. The serving spoon stopped above the green beans. A microphone gave one burst of static. The ribbon on Mother Celeste's hat slipped beneath her ear, but she did not fix it. Jesus, one woman whispered. The page held 7 years of transfers, emergency disbursements, and handwritten approvals. The total was $118,750. My thumb went numb against the linen tablecloth. I had never opened that account. I had never signed those approvals. I had never heard of Mercy Hill Development Group, the company receiving most of the money. My husband, Pastor Nathaniel Brooks, sat beneath a banner that read "Stewards Worthy of Honor." He had spent 31 years preaching that trust was built through small acts. No one applauded. Miriam turned another page. My copied signature appeared beside withdrawals from the Scholarship Reserve and the Widow's Assistance Fund. Nathaniel looked first at the deacon chairman, then the side door, then the accountant near the kitchen. Only after measuring every possible exit did he look at me. And in the face of the man I had defended most of my adult life, I saw calculation before remorse. New Promise Missionary Baptist Church knew me before it knew Nathaniel. My mother stirred peach cobbler filling in its kitchen. My grandfather served as trustee when the fellowship hall still had metal chairs. I was baptized in that sanctuary at 16. Nathaniel arrived 12 years later as a young preacher. He became our pastor, then my husband, and people spoke as though we had entered the church's history together. We had not. The church was part of my inheritance. That was why I protected it. As pastor's wife, I supervised scholarships, coordinated funeral care, and kept a list of older members who needed groceries. I refused a finance committee seat because I believed money and marriage should not share every room. Nathaniel praised that decision most. He said my ministry came from the heart while he carried the administrative weight. I accepted that division because I wanted clean boundaries. I did not understand that a boundary protects you only when both people honor it. Otherwise, it becomes a wall one person uses to keep the other from seeing. My desire was simple: to leave New Promise financially honest, spiritually useful, and safe for the women who trusted our names. I did not yet know Nathaniel had turned my good name into a line item. 5 years before the banquet, Nathaniel announced the Mercy Hill Senior Living Initiative. The church owned an unused education building behind the sanctuary. He proposed turning it into affordable apartments for retired teachers, widows, and longtime members. The congregation stood and applauded. I did too. Architects displayed drawings in the fellowship hall. Purple irises framed pictures of accessible gardens. The vision sounded like ministry with walls around it. But construction never began. First, city approvals were delayed. Then a lender changed terms later. Nathaniel said an anonymous donor wanted privacy until financing was complete. Whenever anyone asked for details, he answered with confidence and one more date. He told me the project was too complicated to explain in pieces. Let me carry this. I mistook exclusion for protection. That is one quiet way a woman disappears inside a long marriage. No one orders her out of the room. She is told the room is too burdensome for her, until distance begins to sound like care. Mercy Hill became Nathaniel's promised legacy. He mentioned it at anniversaries and stewardship services. I noticed the education building remained dark. I noticed contractors entering his office after Bible study. I also noticed how tired he looked. Because love had not died in me, I treated his fatigue as proof of sacrifice, instead of asking whether it might be the weight of concealment. Miriam Price had served as treasurer for 19 years. She wore square glasses on a gold chain and believed every dollar given in faith deserved a receipt, a vote, and a visible destination. 3 months before the banquet, she found transfers labeled First Lady Community Care. She approached me in the church kitchen while volunteers packed supper boxes. "Do you have the confidential assistance receipts?" I thought she meant grocery cards. "Not cards," she said. "Bank transfers." The water running into the sink seemed louder. The electronic records showed repeated withdrawals through a program connected to my title. I never created such a program. Before Miriam could answer, Nathaniel entered. He placed one hand on my shoulder and said some women receiving aid had requested privacy. "We do not expose suffering to satisfy bookkeeping." Miriam's expression did not change. Privacy can protect names, it cannot replace documentation. After she left, Nathaniel reminded me of times I had asked him to help women with rent or medication. "You approved the purpose, I handled the process." That sentence moved responsibility toward me without giving me knowledge. Manipulation sometimes places your kindness beside someone else's decision and calls the two things consent. I asked to see the records. "After the banquet," he said. For the first time, patience felt less like virtue and more like a door being held shut. The church had 2 financial systems. One lived on computers. The other lived in the memory of Deaconess Odessa Gray. Odessa served as assistant treasurer until arthritis made writing painful. She trusted carbon copies. Every transfer passed through a black ledger behind the choir library. After Odessa died, her daughter brought 3 document boxes to the church office. Miriam and 2 audit volunteers opened them in the women's ministry room. I was there because one box was labeled Community Care. Inside were canceled checks, handwritten minutes, and the ledger. Miriam rested both hands on its cover. "Did Nathaniel ever have permission to sign for you?" "No." "Did you create a fund bearing your title?" "No." The volunteers wanted an emergency deacons meeting. Chairman Warren Cole insisted they wait until after the annual banquet, 4 days away. The church cannot absorb a scandal before we understand the facts. Miriam answered. Facts do not become less true because the calendar is inconvenient. Warren overruled her. That was when I understood that institutions often call delay wisdom, when delay protects the people with the most authority. Miriam asked me to attend the banquet and remain near her during the financial report. What is in the ledger? Enough that I do not want you hearing it alone. Light crossed the black cover. Truth had not spoken, but it had entered the room. The next morning, I entered Nathaniel's office before the church secretary arrived. On his desk lay a transfer request from the scholarship reserve. The signature looked like mine from a distance. Up close, the final stroke leaned the wrong way. My signature always ended upward because my mother taught me never to let my name fall. Whoever copied it had watched carefully, but not lovingly. Nathaniel entered while I held the page. He did not ask what I was doing there. He asked how much Miriam had shown me. "Did you sign my name?" He removed his coat. "I authorized temporary transfers under a ministry program you supported." That is not an answer. The Mercy Hill project was about to collapse. If it failed publicly, the church would lose the building and years of credibility. "Did you sign my name?" His silence answered first. Then he said yes. He called the money bridge financing and promised grants would replace it. Mercy Hill Development Group, he said, handled contracts. Who owns it? Nathaniel. He looked toward the blinds. Warren and I. He asked me to protect the project until financing cleared at the banquet. I could say I had approved emergency transfers. You want me to make forgery sound like partnership. I want to keep one decision from destroying 31 years of ministry. There are moments when a woman realizes the peace she preserved belonged entirely to someone else. I will not lie for you. He looked frightened then, but not yet sorry. The fellowship hall was decorated in navy, gold, and white. Women polished trays and arranged fresh flowers along the head table. The room looked prepared to honor order. I moved through it carrying a truth with no assigned seat. Nathaniel handed me a tribute to read before the treasurer's report. It praised his stewardship, vision, and willingness to carry burdens others never saw. I returned it without folding it. Mother Celeste noticed. We sat on the empty bench in the church garden after rain. I may embarrass this church, I said. She shook her head. Baby, you did not put shame in the house. You are deciding whether to keep sweeping it under the rug. That sentence steadied me. On banquet afternoon, Sister Gwen stayed while I checked my bank accounts. Deaconess Ruth collected programs naming me Director of First Lady Community Care. Miriam placed me beside the finance table. Those were small acts. Small acts are how women build a bridge before the person crossing it knows she will need one. Nathaniel greeted guests with practiced warmth. He wore the cufflinks I gave him on our 20th anniversary. I wore no corsage. Water moved beyond the garden wall, steady and continuing, while the hall filled with people who believed they had come to celebrate faithful men. After dinner, Chairman Warren Cole introduced the annual stewardship report. Miriam walked to the lectern carrying the black ledger. Warren reached for her elbow. She stepped beyond his hand. Our printed report is incomplete, she said. The church deserves the complete one. Then she opened the ledger to the page bearing my name. Miriam read the entries. 22,000 from scholarships, 31,000 from widows' assistance, 40,000 from maintenance, and smaller transfers from funeral support. 7 years of money falling from one purpose into another. Every entry carried my initials or a copied signature. Every transfer went to Mercy Hill Development Group. Miriam held up its corporate filing. The company was not owned by New Promise. It belonged privately to Nathaniel and Warren. The education building had been pledged without a congregational vote. Invoices included fees paid to both men. The anonymous donor had never existed. No one touched the food. Nathaniel rose and called the transfers temporary, strategic, and necessary to preserve the senior housing vision. I stood. I did not authorize $1. My voice was not loud. It did not need to be. I did not create this fund. My signature was copied, and my title was used to make restricted money look compassionate. Warren promised repayment. From what? Miriam asked. The company holds less than $9,000. The truth spilled past every edge they had built to contain it. Nathaniel looked toward the kitchen door, the accountant, and then me. Calculation before remorse. Exactly as I had seen at the beginning. Nathaniel reached the microphone. He said pressure had forced decisions people would understand when results appeared. Then he turned toward me. My wife knew my heart. For years, that sentence had been used as a certificate I was expected to translate his secrecy into good intention. I walked to the lectern and closed the ledger. I knew the man you allowed me to see. I did not know the documents you signed with my name. The banquet chair asked everyone to remain seated. I did not return to the head table. I sat between Mother Celeste and Sister Gwen. Ruth carried away my untouched plate and brought water. No one asked me to forgive him before I finished understanding what happened. That mercy mattered. The deacons announced that Nathaniel and Warren would lose access to church accounts immediately. An independent audit would begin the next morning. No one connected to the transfers would control the explanation. Nathaniel asked me to leave through the pastor's hallway with him. No, not angrily. Clearly. A woman can spend decades thinking dignity means standing beside a man during every consequence. Sometimes dignity means refusing to become the soft background behind his defense. The banquet ended without recognition. The gold plaques remained inside their boxes. The ledger stayed on the finance table, closed, but no longer hidden. For 3 weeks, the deacons met in the church conference room with an outside accountant and an attorney retained by the congregation. There was no pulpit in that room, no organ, no place for Nathaniel's voice to rise above a question. The audit confirmed every transfer Nathaniel had used our joint savings for early expenses, then replaced part with church funds I had signed none of the loan documents. He had made my future collateral for an image he could not surrender. When the deacons asked why he used the First Lady title, Nathaniel said donors and bank staff were less likely to question confidential care funds associated with me. He chose my name because people trusted it. That answer hurt more cleanly than any excuse. Warren resigned from the board. Nathaniel submitted his resignation as pastor before the congregation could vote. The church accepted it without a farewell sermon, honorary offering, or final procession. A restitution agreement entered the audit file. The building was preserved, though the church lost money in legal and accounting costs. Some members called the consequence harsh. Miriam answered, "Repentance may restore a soul. It does not erase a signature, replace a scholarship, or excuse a stolen choice." For once, the church did not confuse his discomfort with persecution. The women who brought more than fruit. The women of New Promise did not let the ledger become gossip without becoming help. Mother Celeste sat beside me through every audit update. She asked whether I had eaten and found qualified help. Sister Gwen brought a retired credit union manager. They helped me review accounts, secure records, and place alerts on anything carrying my name. Deaconess Ruth called each scholarship recipient whose award had been delayed. She told them the church had failed to protect restricted funds, then organized a transparent offering to replace what was missing. Miriam gave me copies of every document connected to my signature. "Do not let anyone tell you details are unspiritual," she said. "Truth can be counted." The choir women rotated meals, they left covered dishes, squeezed my hand, and returned to rehearsal without collecting information. A younger woman named Camille admitted her husband handled every bill because he said financial questions showed distrust. I told her what I had learned. Trust is not refusing to look. Trust is being allowed to look without punishment. Churches sometimes teach women to be faithful with labor while leaving them uninformed about money. We are asked to cook, raise funds, sign programs, and lend our reputations, then told numbers are too complicated or worldly. Ignorance is not holiness. Access is not rebellion. Nathaniel and I met with a licensed counselor in the church family resource room. I chose a chair facing the open door. He apologized, then explained the pressure, failed financing, and fear of public disappointment. The counselor asked him to stop describing circumstances and name what he had taken. My trust. I said my financial safety, my right to decide what my name would support. For most of our marriage, I called his control leadership and my lack of information submission. That belief came from years of praise whenever I made myself easy to manage. Proverbs 11:1 says, "A false balance is an abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight." I had heard that verse as instruction for merchants. Now I heard permission to reject relationships that required unequal truth. I told Nathaniel we would remain separated while restitution continued. I would not promise reconciliation because he had admitted what the documents already proved. Forgiveness was not a loan against my future. He would have to change without using access to me as his reward. He lowered his head. I did not rush to comfort him. A woman is not cruel because she allows a man to sit inside the consequence of his choices. When I left, light moved across the hallway floor. Clarity had come like light on water, quietly revealing what had rested beneath the surface for years. 6 months later, the black ledger returned from the auditors in a sealed evidence sleeve. Miriam asked what should happen to it. I did not want it displayed as a symbol. Symbols can become too beautiful and make people forget the labor of repair. I asked that it remain in the archive with the final audit, board minutes, and restitution records. The account bearing my title was closed. The church created one community care fund with no person's name attached. Every payment required 2 unrelated approvers, and a public quarterly summary confidentiality protected recipients, not decision makers. The education building remained empty for a season. We did not rush another grand vision into it. Instead, the fellowship hall hosted financial literacy meetings. We learned to read statements, identify forged authorization, understand joint debt, and request copies before signing. I attended as a student before I spoke. My recovery was not becoming powerful in the same system that excluded me. It was becoming informed enough that no title could replace my voice again. At the third meeting, Camille brought her own folder. I know where our money goes now. Flowers had begun opening along the church garden path. They did not erase the season before. They showed that life could return without pretending no branch had been cut. Nathaniel continued restitution and counseling away from leadership. My faith remained. My automatic agreement did not. 1 year after the banquet, New Promise held its annual stewardship supper in the fellowship hall. There was no head table. Every member received the treasurer's report, including balances, audit notes, and approval signatures. 3 scholarship recipients thanked the congregation. Ruth cried quietly when the last young woman announced she would study accounting. The church repaired the education building slowly, 1 room at a time, without loans tied to private ambition. That choice looked smaller than Nathaniel's vision. It was also true. Miriam placed the new financial book before me. No entry carried my name unless I had written it myself. I thought about the years I believed a good wife protected her husband from questions, and a faithful church protected its pastor from public consequence. Now I understood differently. Faith does not require false balances. Grace does not need forged permission. Forgiveness can release vengeance without returning control. A church becomes safer when truth has a chair at every table. A woman's name is not a ministry tool for someone else to borrow. And dignity begins when she decides that love will never again sign for her. This channel was created for women who have carried more than anyone knew, and who deserve to be seen. If this story touched a place where your name, labor, credit, or silence was used without your full consent, share only what feels safe in the comments. Sometimes the first honest entry is simply saying, "That was not mine."